Sips and Stories would like to thank the following sponsors for your continued support. Welcome to Sips and Stories, where your journey matters, your story inspires, and every episode is a space to uncover what truly makes people thrive. Join me as we dive into real conversation with amazing guests, each one sharing the moments, lessons, and experiences that shaped who they are today. I'd love to hear from you, too. What's your journey? What's your story? And most importantly, what makes you thrive? We'll see you on the next story. Good morning, everybody. I am Sandy Shook. Welcome to Sips and Stories. Today I have, oh my God, who are you? I was going to say Bill, and I'm like, no, it's not Bill.
Don't look at the audience.
Too, yeah.
Garrett.
No, you need a bloopers tape.
Obviously. Today I have Garrett with me. Garrett, if you could introduce yourself and let people know who you are.
I'm Garrett. This is going to be a fun one.
Yes, it will.
So my name is Garrett Goggans, and I don't know really all you want to know. I think that you're going to pull some of that out. But
Yep.
we have a mentor of ours who says we shouldn't say who we are, as we want to know the why we do what we do, and the what we do will come out of that. So I guess I'll just start there.
Yeah,
and you can
please.
pull some things out.
Mm-hmm.
But I do things, I feel like it's my purpose on this planet to help people uncover their aspirations and do it in a way where it's changing their identity. Well, I call it the return. It's the return to their true self. And I feel like we are pulled for things because it's how we are supposed to express ourselves. And I live by that. So I always am looking for ways of that expression. And I find with people that when you can pull that out of them, there's an alignment that happens. And that the energetic flow of putting things into what they're doing, that statement, I guess, is the best way to say it. Like my dad used to always say, if you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life. And it's not so much the what you do, but it's that why you're doing it and how you're showing up in that. And I work to help people find that and pull that out.
Are you originally from Colorado?
No. I was born in Indio, California.
Indio.
Before Coachella was really big. I have people ask me all the time, well, did you go to Coachella? No. It was a place, but it wasn't a thing. But I was born in Indio, California. We didn't stay there very long. We moved to Washington State, and then my dad was stationed in Germany.
Oh, okay. So military family
Yeah.
then? Okay.
So we moved here when I was in second grade, and basically I've been here ever since. Some short stints here and there where I tried to leave and almost got pulled back.
Where did you try to leave to, and then you came back, and why?
I lived in Florida for a little while. I went back to California, Sacramento, the Sacramento area. Stayed there for a little while. I was in Kentucky for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Alabama for a short stint. Most of my dad's side of the family was from the South, from Georgia, so I did some southern trips. So I always came back.
Yeah, sounds like fun. See, I don't usually hear Kentucky from people, so that kind of threw me off a little. I don't know why.
That's the military, so Fort
Yep.
Campbell is out there, so my dad was stationed there, and I went to go stay with him. But I went to go stay with him we were there for 2.5 years, I think.
Oh, okay. And did you enjoy yourself out there? So you came, was that part of your schooling years or after you got out of school that you went?
All right, well, let's just get into it. So there's a very specific reason why I went to Kentucky. So when I was 16, I ran away from home and dropped out of high school.
Oh, wow.
So I was living on my own for that time, for probably about a year. I think at the age of 17, my dad came back. He was stationed in Korea. And he came back and made this he was a very wise man. He made this deal with me. He said, Garrett, I need you to go back to school. Like, it's something you just have to do. And he basically said if I would move to Kentucky with him, and go back to school, he would pay me. That would be my job. So I got a paycheck to go back to and finish high school. And there was some rules and some regulations. He didn't want me to. Since I had been on my own, I had this sense of freedom.
Yeah, what did you do? So you were on your own. Did you have an apartment at that age? Were you able to get an apartment, or were you sleeping in your car?
Yes. So I slept in my car.
So which one?
I slept in my car for a little while, but I was an ambitious kid. So at 16 I was working 2 full-time jobs. I could not get an apartment because I was not old enough, but I had a mutual friend who introduced me to a person who is now my lifelong best friend, Steve. He was 18, so he could get the apartment. So I had the money, he had the age, and so that's where the apartment came from. So I had my own apartment. I was working the jobs, doing all the things. Still not very mature, so I was still doing all the things that.
Well, at 16, we all think we know what we're doing, right?
Yeah. But I had that freedom for a year. My dad understood that, so when he proposed this to me, he said, you can still have your freedom. I would just be he was like a landlord, so I was renting a room from him, although my payment was continuing to go to school, and he gave me the paycheck. And with that, I homeschooled, so I completed my junior and senior year in 1 year, so I still basically graduated on time with everybody
Okay,
else.
so did you drop out of school because you were bored? I mean, because I know one of my sisters, if she could have dropped out at any time, she would. I mean, she went to college and she was on the dean's list, but she was failing high school, so.
I dropped out, mainly I was running from religion, essentially. I grew up in very religious. I mean, strict or non-strict really depends on your perception, your point of view. I felt it was strict. And I didn't necessarily buy into a lot of things. I guess the best way to say it was I was the type of kid or person, still am this way, where I have to have the experience. You can tell me one thing, I want to experience it for myself because I just want that. I want to learn from those experiences, and I feel like that was a big reason why I left. The bigger reason at the time was probably because I wanted to date. I had some raging hormones going on, and I wasn't allowed to date. So that was rough for me in school because I was already quiet, very quote unquote shy. I was told I was shy, I was told I was an introvert, didn't have a whole lot of friends. So I got picked on a lot, and that not being able to date just added one extra level of that. So between me just having those hormones and wanting to experience some life in ways that my mom wouldn't let me do, that was a big driving force. But when I left, I did just go off and try to experience everything I was told was bad. I tried.
Wow, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
What was some of the things?
Fine. I think at 16, probably more at 17, I was teetering with alcoholism. So I did a lot of
early,
drinking.
huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know the people who will get you the alcohol. And again, when you're 16, you don't have that maturity level, and you're gonna go want the experiences. You don't know how to do it in a way that's not extreme.
Yeah.
So there was that, and there's some drugs, some drug use. I never did anything crazy hard, but I did some experimentation with that. So those, and again, so the reason why I left was to date. So it was a lot of promiscuity, I suppose, is the best way to say that. The rated G version.
Yeah.
So just went out and just experienced all that. But I did stupid things too. There was a place here in the Springs. It was more in they called it the ruins. And so this is like some of the stupid things that we would do when we were inebriated and young. Supposedly, they did a lot of witchcraft type stuff there. We were like, hey, let's go see what kind of stuff we can figure out. And met some interesting people there. Met a guy who swore he was a vampire. Some witches, warlocks. It was a very intriguing time.
Wow.
But we just went out and experienced everything. So. But my dad wanted me to have different experiences, so he made that deal for me, and I made the decision, which was hard because it was still. All my friends was here. I lived here basically all my life.
Yeah.
I mean, at that time, from second grade on, it was a rough decision. But I knew that if I kept going down the path I was going, I wasn't going to get anywhere. And I was very big on breaking that, what most people call that generational curse. For me, it was just a habit. I was seeing some habitual ways of how my mom was showing up, and not so much in the religious state, but just my mannerisms and things that I would do. I wanted more, and so I said, okay, yes, I'll do that. And I went back, and kind of when I had the focus, I was unstoppable. So yes, 2 years and 1 year, and then I went on to college.
And then what did you go to college for? Did you go in like most people with one major and then you changed that up?
Oh, I changed all kinds of things. So my first career I wanted was in architecture. I loved architecture. I wanted to be an architect, wanted to draw the houses, and so that was what my first degree was going to be in. Because of how I dropped out in my GPA from the first part of high school, I had to start in community college. So I just went to get an associate's in structural design and drafting. And then
you did that here?
I did that, came back here to do that, yes.
Okay.
So I did that, got a job with a design firm. So I was drawing houses.
Wow.
Then I was hired on to a local home builder here in the Springs, and I was working in their architecture department. But my first shift happened there was I started to really be more intrigued with the CAD software.
Oh yeah.
And I always wanted to find easier ways to do things. I mean, not that drafting was that difficult, point, click, draw a line were great. I was like, well, if I could do something to make it point, click, draw a line with the feed with just one click, that would be cool. And so I started doing some out-of-list programming in that to make the thing do what I wanted to do. I then became a big CAD geek, so I would go to all these CAD conventions and want to do the back-end programming of the actual application. So that was where my first shift happened, and I went back to school for information technology and computer science.
You went back and got a 4-year degree? Or did you have to go for 4, or did you just add on to?
So my bachelor's, I just had to add on 2.
Yeah.
Then I went back for my master's, still in computer science.
So from dropping out of school to now you continue to do.
All the way to the doctorate.
So it's not that you were, I just really wonder if you were bored.
No, I wasn't bored.
I'm not really trying to put words in your mouth.
That was a thing. There were some pieces that was there. So I did have ambitions. There were things that I knew I wanted to do. But there was just that maturity level was just there. So I mean, I could have done that at home.
Yeah.
Right? But it was a really big driving factor. And I can tell you the person. Her name was Christina. And I can go all the way to the whole thing. Like, there's a whole story about it.
That's okay.
So, but she was like this. It was like the first female that I was insanely attracted to who had attracted to me. There was nothing I could do about it. And so, again, in my mind, I was like, well, what's wrong? What's wrong with this? I have to go experience at least this realm, because in that age, and not that this was the message, but in my 16-year-old mind, it was that any relationship with an opposite sex at that point was sinful. And so...
Well, also, too, you said that trying to even build relationships was hard.
Yeah. I had the friends at church, And but they, even I was still very quiet and withdrawn.
Yeah.
And there's reasons behind that, but so it's not that I was bored. It was just that was this catalyst that got me out there. But while I was out there, I started to experience things, and I did know where I wanted to go. So even in that apartment with my best friend Steve, we would sit there and we would dream about what we wanted to do. He wanted to be a chef. I wanted to be an architect, and we just countless evenings, mornings. We just didn't sleep. We'd stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning. Our favorite group is Simon and Garfunkel, so we would listen to Simon and Garfunkel all night long and just have these dreams and ambitions, which is probably why to this day I'm very big about people's aspirations. It was something that I held on to, and I saw the value of what my dad offered me to be able to go and find that.
So how did he know? Was that a conversation that you had with him, or your mom had with him and said, I can't control this guy? Or did he just, because you were on the street or on your own? I mean, how did that all happen that he offered you that opportunity? Because
he knew about it, even in Korea. So we would have conversations. So I still talked to my dad. I didn't talk to my mom so much at that point. But I would have conversations with my dad. It was few and far between. But so he did have that understanding. He tried to get me to go back to school from Korea, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need that. And but when he came back to the States, there was a more emphatical, hey, let's get you back on track.
Yeah, let's look at this now and see where your future is going to go if you don't make a change. Yeah. Because he knew you were capable of doing more. Yeah. And so you did say you have your doctorate now too?
I do. I went all the way, had my doctorate. And even with the software development, I leaned more towards web design and development because I still have this artistic thing, architecture. There's a lot of artistic aspects into that, and so I still have this artistic piece. And so I loved with web development where I could make it look pretty and code it and watch it do all the fun things. We have like so many lines of code and clicks a button. But it was a big puzzle for me, and so there was a stint. I joke where in college I would dream in code. I would dream.
Oh wow.
The code and answering questions in loops and in if-then statements. So it was just crazy.
Were you involved in any sports or anything in high school then too, or?
Yes, I ran cross country. I could run for days, and I didn't know this. I had all my friends in church played football. I was not a contact-driven kind. I was in high school. I weighed 75 pounds. I weighed 75 pounds until I was probably went back. So even in Kentucky, I think I weighed 95. I was a fragile little kid, so if I got hit in football, I was gonna break.
And were you short too?
Well, no.
You didn't grow up till after you.
I stayed about 5'10" from high school on, so I'm shrinking now, I think, but at least that's what my son wants me to believe. But so I would run a lot, and so I ran cross country in high school. I ran track, but I ran distance. I love to run. I could go out and run 19 miles and not think twice about it. And so I could have gone and done that in college and got scholarships. I was pretty good. When I think my first year running cross country, I took 6th in our city meet in the Springs. Wow. So it could have been a thing. But I made different choices.
Yeah, and you don't want to do anything like that now.
No, I do. I tell my partner Tabby sometimes we'll go hiking and like, man, it'd be nice to run. And then I have to run 5 feet. I'm like, never mind, we're good. I don't need to do that. But I mean, there was a piece that I do remember, just the release of frustrations and all the things that I had. I could just release that in running. Now I think going on hikes with her and doing those types of things gives me that same release, just being back out in nature. But I did love just to go and I was just in my own little world at that point, and it was a great place to be.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have an older sister, Tara. She's 2 years older than I.
Great. And you guys got along while you
No.
were? Oh. But you do now.
We do now, and I think a lot of it, the more I hear people who have siblings, we were no different. We fought and fought, and my sister packed a punch, so she was, our fighting was very physical, but she could hold her own in that aspect. So there's tons of stories about that, about the fights that we used to have. There was a point where we couldn't really just live together. So when I lived in my car, it was because I was living with my sister. I got a room with her at one point, and we just had this major disagreement. So she kicked me out, and I lived in my car. So that's when I was homeless for a short stint. I lived in a VW Bug, an orange one. It was great. It was a great home.
Well, I'm laughing too because I went out with my sister, who's one of my best friends. She's a year older than me, and we had gone out to the bar, and we had an argument on the way back to our apartment, and she said, "Get out." She stopped at the side of the street, and I walked home. I don't know how many miles it was, but it's like, yeah, I know those arguments.
Yeah, siblings, we're mean to each other. We love each other, but you wouldn't know it, right?
Yeah, right.
But now we're in a good space, but we don't live with each other. I don't know the way, and I live with her, off and on here and there, because of some life situations. But so we did get better. Again, the maturity level starts to come, and you have this.
Well, it comes in and out, maturity.
That's true.
Even as an adult.
That's true as well. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's good. So, and then your mom's still here?
My mom is still here, so she lives. She and my sister live together. My sister takes care of her. She had a stroke many years back, and so that kind of limited some of the things that she could do. So she moved in with my sister, and my sister's basically been taking care of her ever since. So they do live with each other. They live about 5 minutes away from us right now. So.
Where did your dad end up?
So once I left Kentucky, he went back to Korea, got stationed in Korea. Then he was stationed in Alabama, where he taught for the Army. He taught flight medicine. So he retired in Enterprise, Alabama. Then it was Fort Rucker. They changed the name since then. But that was I would stay with him sometimes in Alabama trying to find some contract work. So there's a whole bunch of that stuff. I would go all over the place.
Yeah, so you said that you had gone to a couple different places. You went back to California. Was that in the IT industry then, or?
That was still in the architecture days. Some of the life events just really wanted me to get out of Colorado. I just needed something different. And my best friend Steve, we followed each other everywhere. So he came to Kentucky when I lived there, then we came back, and then he went to Sacramento, and I went to Sacramento. I just wanted to I just felt like I needed something different. And so I went and got a job for a commercial design firm. So I was drafting motorcycle shops, mom and pop motorcycle shops, which that was pretty fun. But when I came back from that, that's when I really got into the computer science piece.
I want to get into what it is that how you got into the IT world and what that was all about, because I know that from what I've learned from you, I don't know everything about what it is that you do now, but I know that because I worked at Oracle for 22 years, I think the connection there that we have, I understand that, working for corporations, but did you work for corporations the whole time, or did you start out small and then kind of build yourself up?
I started out, so when I made the shift to computer science, it was a strange time for America. It was in, the .com had crashed, the whole .com era had crashed, and so in the IT and computer science field, there was just this influx of people who were looking for jobs. And right after that, I was still working for the home builder, and then the housing market crashed. So
oh boy.
while the job market...
So that was about 2008 then, right?
Yeah, 2009, yeah.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I was going to school. I was in the midst of my bachelor program. And so trying to get a job into that computer science IT field was really difficult because all those guys from the .com crash, they were looking for their jobs as well. And the market was, we could hire someone with so much experience at a very reduced rate because they're out there.
Yeah.
And so then, because the housing market crashed, I couldn't get a job in that field, and I couldn't get a job in architecture because everything was just, I was unemployed for 3 years.
3 years?
3 years, and that's where I went to Florida.
Oh, wow.
I had a really good friend that I knew in Kentucky, and her dad said, well, I can give us some contract work. So I went to Florida and started doing some contract work there.
And when you say contract work, what did you do? Like
Anything-
construction type stuff?
No, contract isn't a contract job. So
Oh,
it was
okay,
a
okay.
1099 type thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was just this,
You
whatever.
just fill in whatever needed to be in. Okay.
It was, we tried to do it within the IT field. So his connections had a lot of government contracts. So I would do things for some companies that had those government contracts, but just whatever I could fill the gap in because I just needed the money.
Yeah.
I had already been through a divorce, my first divorce at this time, so that was the other aspect too. So I lost my job, and 6 months before that, I had gotten my first divorce.
Oh boy.
So
What a year.
Yeah, it was rough.
A year of change, a year of challenge.
Yeah, it really was. And so moving to Florida was another one of those difficult ones because my kids were still here. But it was just a rough decision. But I really didn't have a choice at that point. I needed something to help me out financially. So that's where that stint in Florida went. But that was how I really got into the IT field. It did kind of open up some doors for me. When I came back, I finally found a job in architecture to kind of bridge that gap. And
It's good that you actually had that experience,
Yeah.
right? To be able to fill in what you needed to until you got your bearings somewhere else.
I find something.
Yeah.
I did that for a little while, and then when I got my first IT job was doing marketing emails. The company that I worked for though, their product was virtual meetings. And so their products, they had, when we scheduled a meeting, that email went out. When we canceled the meeting, what we're used to seeing now, those emails that you see, that I created those specifically for that company.
Wow.
So they had their own thing that was triggering those. And that was my introduction into the information technology realm, still with some computer science background. I moved around in that company trying to get to where I wanted to go with software and application development, and just learned a lot from them. And
Did you have good mentors then when you were at the companies, or the one that you moved around in, or because it just seems like this though that you are so driven that if you're not finding what you need, you go and find it. You like are, come help me instead of you waiting for how did you get to that point? And I'm asking that because I know that there are people that are sitting behind a desk now not knowing how to learn anything new because this is all I know.
yeah.
And I don't know, how did you do something like that, especially with your past and how you got out of your apartment and, well, living in your car, I'm gonna say it, but.
Yeah. No. Did I have mentor? Eventually I did, yes. And I feel that it goes, what I know about who I am today, I look back at that part of my life and I go, oh, it makes so much sense about who I am. And I didn't necessarily understand the circumstances, and I was very driven in the fact that, again, my whole purpose in life was I need to break these generational habits. I refuse to be this victim of whatever is going on. And so although all the pieces and all these circumstances were happening, I was very driven, like I'm getting out of this situation. I'm going to be successful in what the world was saying successful looked like. And so we're actually at a point in our conversation where a big shift in my life happened. So I was married again when I was into this company, and lost this job, and then I got a divorce again 6 months later. So I was back into this circumstance again.
Yeah.
And I remember right before that happened, and I talk about this a lot because I think it was one of the pivotal statements that was said to me, not directly to me, but to an entire audience. We were at a leadership conference for this company, and the keynote said something about this success and what it looked like, and that whatever success you find in life or what you don't find in life has nothing to do with these circumstances or these other people. It has everything to do with you. And I was neck deep in the crap at that point, going, the hell you say? Like, I did not choose this circumstance. This has nothing to do with me. But the more I sat with that, it just started to resonate with me and said, okay, well, if it's me, because I'm seeing this pattern of what's happening. So if it's me, what about me needs to change? And so I found my first mentor at this point going, hey, I see what you're doing and I really respect you. Give me something. I haven't been into personal development at this point, but if you have books, whatever you have, let me know and I will go and I will chase this.
Was it at a company then that you found somebody, or was it outside of?
It was outside of, I had gotten to network marketing because when you're chasing for money, you're like, whatever I can possibly do, I'm going to try to do. And I don't bash network marketing, honestly. I think that there are pyramid schemes, but I do believe that there are some solid groups out there. What I do love about it are that they are very personal development driven. And so it is get into the books, change the identity of who you believe yourself to be and become this new person. And this is again where that drive that I have, it's very focused. So when I'm in something, I'm in it.
Yeah.
So I jump headfirst into personal development and learn all these things that I could possibly learn in how to change who I was to become this person that I was really wanting to become. And I think that the big key for that, the first book that he gave me, he gave me a list of the first book I read was The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. And it was so weird for me. I'm like, the language was weird. When you get into that kind of personal development, it's a different language. You talk about things in a very different way. And so I was reading this book, and I want to know more about this. And I got this, I think it was the next day after I read this book. The next day, I got this alert from LinkedIn. I'm never on LinkedIn. Never. Like, I had a profile, but I was never on LinkedIn. I got this alert, and I don't even think I had alerts set up for LinkedIn. But I had this message from someone.
Freaky.
It's a little freaky. But for some reason, I went and looked at it, and this person was saying, "Hey, we're going to do this master class on the science of getting rich." So on the book.
So the book that you just read.
Yeah. And so I just put this, like throwing this out there, what Locus will throw it out there in the universe or God, however you want to put that came into my purview of saying, oh wow, this is what I said I wanted, so here it is. So of course, I said, let's go. And that got me into my first main mentor in personal development because of this masterclass and then this book. So Bob Proctor was my first mentor in the personal development realm, and so a lot of things that you'll hear me talk about either today or moving forward for the rest of my life is going to be because of that influence that I had. The second book that I read, though, that for me was even more of a life changer was What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter.
Oh.
And this is when I really started to understand that it's not everybody else, it's me, right? It's not that I'm asking for these things. There's a level of belief that I had in myself. So even though I was ambitious, I didn't necessarily believe that I could get to those places. And so there was that piece that was holding me back, and I started to understand that self-talk. I was listening to the language that I was saying to myself, and it was very limiting. It was very much in a negative space, in a space that wasn't forward moving. It was very much stuck.
So were you able to determine where that all started? Or while you were going through that, like the negative talk?
That was years. It was years and years and years. When we start to understand the talk that we have, it comes from a lot of our belief systems, and so that it's just it's an external portrayal of the internal belief. So it would go. You can go all the way back to when I was a baby and how I was nurtured into that belief system. Some things I would tell myself, and some things that people were telling me, like, "Hey, you're an introvert," because I was quiet. I was just having a conversation with Tabby the other day about, no, I wasn't necessarily quiet. My sister was just that much more boisterous than I was. So she overshadowed that part of me.
Yeah.
And because I was so quiet, and I shouldn't say that's a bad thing for my sister. She's very bubbly. She's an amazing person in that way. But I just would retreat and let her have her space. And because of that retreating, I was told that I was an introvert. I was quiet. And that brought me into that and some being picked on in school and all these beliefs, and it was just stacking. So I had this whole social anxiety aspect, which was a limiting thing. The talks and things I was saying to myself was, I can't go out in public, I can't speak on stages, I can't go in groups of people because I'm this small and I don't have that kind of personality. And so listening to that conversation and changing some of that conversation I was having with myself began to shift. I did, social anxiety was a big thing for me, so when I would go in groups, I have literally passed out in public because there are too many people in my personal space. That was a conversation that I was having with myself, that I would, I can't be around people. So I changed that dialogue. I began to say, nope, I'm a hugger. And I would walk up to people, man, women didn't matter. I'm like, hey, I'm a hugger. And I would force myself into that situation. Very uncomfortable, but with the action and the verbiage and the things I was telling myself, that I said, my dance space was bigger than most. That dance space began to shrink, and I could get and have conversations with people, be right next to them and not feel the anxiety that came up, because I changed the conversation that I was having with myself. So that book for me was a game changer.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, so then they had more personal development books, and I just jumped into it. But that was a big shift in where I was. Still in computer science at that point. I was doing, when I lost that job, I really didn't want to go back to architecture, so I wanted to find something more in that computer science realm. And that's when I got hired on to another tech company where I was doing technical support.
Yes, I want to know where you are today. I know that the tech jobs that you had, you started working with teams. And I don't know how did that come about?
So I was doing technical support, and I progressed quickly through that.
But you did more.
I had already gotten into so far into this personal development. And so the growth and everything was happening. So I understood a lot of human behavior, and so I was pretty good on the phone at this point. If you know anything about me, that social anxiety also extended to the phone. I hated talking on the phones. But I knew that there was something that I had to do to get to that point, so I overcame a lot of that. Still don't necessarily like talking on the phone. But I was good on the phone, I was good with having communications, I was technically sound, I was solving people's problems, but I was mentoring people while I was doing it to help them come along with me. And so I went from the entry level was a technical support level 2. Then I went to a T3. That was probably within a year. About 4 or 5 months, I moved to a technical lead, and then a few months after that, I went to interview for a team manager within that department, and I got hired on pretty quickly as a team manager. So within probably about a year and a half, I just went through the ranks of that. And it was that team manager position that started to bring out the things that I'm doing today. So yes, I managed a team. And that team, when I got that job, it was kind of, it was scared the shit out of me, honestly, because my boss at the time said, so look, you're going to manage this team. They are the worst performing team.
Oh, man.
Internationally. This was a global
So we're
team.
giving you a challenge.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can handle it.
They were on a corrective action notice. Wow. They were about to lose that whole line of business, and have fun.
Wow.
And that was that. So. But with that, again, I was doing this personal development part, and I was like, well, nothing that these guys are doing apparently are working. Mm-hmm. So let's just get creative and let's try to do some personal development with my team. I would ask them questions that no one ever asked them before. The big question that was asked for me was, what do you want? Bob Proctor asked that a lot. That was his thing. He was like, what do you want? Mm-hmm. And I didn't necessarily know. And I was finding at asking my team members that there's a lot of people that don't necessarily know what they want.
Yeah.
And what was the big shift for them is that I cared. And we really...
Yeah, because it wasn't just a question. It was like you waited for the answer.
I really wanted to know.
Yeah.
And if they didn't know, I was like, well, let's figure that out.
Yeah.
Because for me, I knew with that in turn, I would listen to them talk about things and how they would talk. And I'm like, there's some personal development that needs to happen. And I know that you're not in alignment with what's going on here. And so, because what was going on there was more micromanagement. It was, you're going to be what I think you should be. And when there's a disconnect from that, we don't have full buy-in with the jobs that we're doing. So that question that I asked them, what do you want? And they didn't know, so let's find that out. And we had a lot of conversation. This was not a one and done type thing with these guys. Mm-hmm. It took weeks to really uncover some of these desires for their professional life. 15 people, yeah. And so I had these conversations with all of them. And as I pulled out their desire, where they wanted to go, the next step that I think that shifted for a lot of people was I said, I'm going to help you get there. Mm. And you can't help me get there because this has nothing to do with this organization. I'm like, well, that's fine. I knew, though, that for me to get the team to be at a level, performing at a level that I needed them to be, they needed to be able to perform at a level that they wanted to be. Mm-hmm. And so if I could tie in their desire and start shaping that individual, helping them grow into that individual, I had this concept that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if I could get you working in that way, in your whole life, you're gonna be working in that same way because we're just developing the characteristics and the traits and the skill sets that we need. And
well, you also too help them to actually determine what they really wanted. So I'm fairly certain that you've helped them for the rest of their life with that, because you probably do the same thing. When you have hit a roadblock, the first question you have to ask yourself is, what do you want? Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm assuming now after knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, it is. Their life changed in a way because, one, they didn't think in that realm. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't. We go and we work day to day. We do the grind because that's what we're told is what we're supposed to do. Yeah. I mean, my dad would probably roll over in his grave if he knew that the thing that I'm doing wasn't based in the kind of organization that because they were like, you work for the same company for the rest of your life. Yeah. He was forced out of the military. If he could have been there until the day he died, that would have been him. So for the fact that I'm jumping around doing all these things, he would have been like, oh, but there's a piece that I need to know and how to express myself. And pulling that out of them, there was some life changes. And so that team, it was about 6 months, give or take. It was around 6 months, though. That team went from the worst performing team to the best performing team globally in that line of business.
That's
and
great.
It was all because I gave a damn. honestly. But I asked questions that people were never asking them before. I was saying, let's develop you into that, for that goal. And the same characteristics were transferable. I can build the skill sets, and you know, a lot of them have problems talking on the phone. I'm like, that was easy because I overcame that, so I'll show you what I did. And but having some realizations, and they saw the growth, they just wanted more. That team was so dedicated to me that when that company decided to move me to a different team because of what I did there, so let's try you out over here. When I left, a lot of them also left. They were dedicated to me, not to the company.
Because of that, because of your new awareness, did that help you with helping other managers? I know that that's where it kind of ties into what you're doing now, but for them to be able to, you know, I mean, I can't imagine that I'm envisioning you going into a big company and having these workshops with managers so that they can do the same thing you did and be able to keep people. And if they don't keep them in their department, at least they have the same skill sets in each of those management groups, right?
Yeah, it took a bit. I had to go through 3 teams for that to really start to unfold. So my second team, they were actually performing very well. They had just plateaued at a certain point, and so I came into that, and they progressed a little bit more. And so there were some questions about, hey, how do you do this? And it was about the performance, but it was also more about the dedication.
Right.
So all of my guys and girls, all my team, they were very dedicated to me. And we would have co-managers, and those people would want to come to my team because of the growth that they saw in the people that, it's like, oh, I want that too. I want this, I want that. And it wasn't a micromanagement kind of way. It was a very open, let's give you some stretch goals and some things that could stretch where you want to be and get you starting to move up into your career. That's what the people were thirsty and hungry for that. So managers were coming up to me and asking me how I did it. And so I developed my first leadership training course based off of that. It was a growth mindset type situation. I didn't recognize very early that a lot of people were in this, what we would call a fixed mindset, and I wanted them to expand that and say, hey, I could become anything. And that was a belief that I held for them. They didn't necessarily believe that in themselves. So that was the other big superpower that I had, was I believe you could do anything, because look where I came from. I came from here to here. So if I can do that, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
And I held that belief for them, and they just fed on that. So it was the dedication and the performance. But I did develop my first growth mindset leadership training. Gave it to a lot of leaders. Did they all accept it? No. It's a very big people first kind of culture in the tech world. That's not necessarily a thing.
Yeah.
There was some trial and error in what that looked like. But there were a few who took that and some of the things that I taught in that course, applied it, and saw some of this is so good. So they became these cheerleaders for me in that organization, and I was basically given a lot of free reign in that course. This was outside of our training department.
Yeah.
And so I presented it quite a few times on different levels. I would present it to my boss's level and their boss's level. They also would take the course too. So that's where it kind of started with what I do today.
That's what you do today then.
Today, though, that's
what you're working on.
That's what I'm working on today.
Building it and fine tuning it, right?
So that company, in the tech field, and I think everybody can relate to this in a lot of fields, but in the tech field, AI is a beast, and especially in tech support. I know we all experience going to tech support, and we're talking to an AI agent first. We're chatting up with this agent. Some aspects you can actually call and talk to an AI voice, but it's AI is doing that tech support. So that company laid off just 350 something odd people, and I was one of those people. So when I lost that job,
we're like, okay, well, what do I do? Do I find a new job? And I really have to give the credit to Tabby for this, was because she was kind of researching her own things, the things that she wanted to do, some projects that she wanted to do, and she brought to me, goes, hey, I came across these 3 items that I think would be really good for you if you want to do some side projects while you're looking for a job or whatever that looks like. Just, they may resonate, they may not. And the 3 things that she brought to me, so those are the 3 things that I teach, that I've been teaching these leaders. It really encompasses all this. And I think within probably about a week, I had this training thing developed, this big Aspiration Advantage of how can we take the aspirations of our people, of our teams, of just the employees, our direct reports, and tie that into the mission and the vision of the organization. And I recognized way early on that once I do that, they're going to show up because they want to, not because I'm forcing them to. I joked in that company that I was one of the few team managers that ever had to manage a team. They managed themselves because they wanted to. Yeah. And so developing this program and other little side labs and workshops, teaching leaders how to have these conversations with people. Again, we're not launching rockets here. This isn't difficult. You just have to have the conversation, you have to listen, and you have to care. But that's not always, it's easier said than done sometimes. Yeah. And so I started this consulting business in that realm because I believe that the people first culture is something that we talk about. It's kind of a buzzword now, and we're not delivering it in a way that the people need it to be delivered. Yeah. And so that's what I'm doing today.
I know that you are working on building out this organization that you're doing, that you have now. Mm-hmm. And you were looking to work with bigger corporations. What is it that you're looking for?
Medium to large, essentially. Those with teams. Really, if they have employees of 10 and more, that's a team, and so we can start to work with that. But I do. My heart is with the tech space because that's just been my world for so long, and I think that I can geek speak with the best of them, and mm-hmm. so I can relate this in a way that makes sense to them. Yeah. And so my preferred customer probably would be that, but it goes cross borders. It doesn't, mm-hmm. all this is human behavior in the tech space, is human behavior in the construction space, is human behavior in the real estate space. So it can go across borders, but I think the tech people are hungry for it. Mm-hmm. And we see organizations like Google, like Microsoft, very big in the people first culture now. They just don't know how to apply that. So it's a much needed thing there. But the medium to large, but if there's just a team of 10, we can have that conversation.
Yeah. And then you have some workshops that you are starting to bring out. Those will be labs that you'll continue to hone in on and perfect and continue to do so that you can help people.
I have five labs. I call them the dumb labs. It's a play on words, so we all talk about SMART goals. I think a lot of people in the corporate world and even in the scholastic world understand what a SMART goal is. And I believe that sometimes we have to kind of go up a level, and we're having that dream-driven, what are your dreams and your aspirations? So I took SMART and came up with a different acronym called DUMB, which is dream-driven, uplifting, method-neutral, and big and bold. And so once we have all that, we can then start to take these SMART goals and really have them focused to something of what we want to do. It gives us that intrinsic motivation.
And for those out there that do not know what SMART goals are. They're
specific, measurable, achievable. A and R can kind of flip back and forth, but most will say achievable. R can be relatable, or it can be, we'll just say relatable, and then time bound. So SMART are specific, measurable, achievable, relatable, and time bound. But the problem with the SMART goals, they're great. They keep us into where we're at right now. that achievable piece tends to be the piece that kills us, right? Because if I was working in the same self-image that I had way back when, I would never stretch out of that because I would say that's not achievable for me.
Yeah, and it's a self-talk, right?
Yeah. So now when I can expand that, I say it's aligned. If it's aligned to that aspiration that we have, then I'm excited and I can break out of that self-image and expand and grow into that. And that's where you start to see things that are just miraculous within yourself.
Yeah.
Bob Proctor used to say that, when you got to a point, you would look back and you would need a telescope to see how far you've come in such little time. And it's true. When I look back at where I was before, that quiet person who would never even be able to have this conversation with you, let alone get on a stage and do keynotes and talk in crowds, go and network and do all that aspect, that would have never happened. So it's just a testament to what we as humans can do once we have a belief or we have something that'll stretch us out of that, give us that intrinsic motivation, and it just gives us that drive to go and be successful, and we can define what success looks like, and then we just capitalize on that, and it's just a game changer.
Right. Okay. Well, I would like to open it up for questions from the audience, if there is any. Anybody have anything that they are? Yes.
I'll give it a shot. Yeah, I know you have a collaborative book now called Triumph.
Mm-hmm.
And where few people that you've worked with who are co-authors in that book have told their stories of how stories of resilience, of how they made major breakthroughs in their life, which has made changes for the better. And I know you've probably worked with a whole lot more people in that book. It kind of leads me to the question, is Triumph going to become a series eventually?
So Triumphant, we call it Triumphant for short. It was actually Triumphant Stories in its whole thing. And it was a mentoring program that I developed for those who had gone through this adversity and came out the other side. I love people's stories. I think everybody loves people's stories. We thrive on the stories. We may not know it, but when we sit down and listen to people and that story resonates with us on the human level in our soul, there's a spark. There's the inspirational and motivational speakers there's a huge business on this because we understand that we can help people get there through the stories. And so that mentorship program we did release, it teaches people who want to share their story on bigger stages, whether that be a book, on stage, or in podcasts, whatever platform that is. We mentor them on how to do that. So I did the first volume, got people through that, and then I actually handed it off to my sister. She's taking over the Triumphant story. Tara has a background in setting up speaking engagements. So it was a natural transition for where I was helping people share the stories. We developed the platform, got some of the mentors. So now it's the next step is we got the book. Now let's go share this start creating those bigger stages, those platforms. And so it is going to be a series. She's working on volume 2 now. She's getting authors for that. And excited to see that just progress because you have these little, your children, right? This is like a child for me. I nurtured this thing for over 2 years, and to watch it move to, we'll say it's in kindergarten now, and now Tara's taking it to that next level, and it's fun to watch her step into that and see her growth that's happening as well. And connecting with people who also are just like, I just want to help inspire and let people know that it doesn't matter what we're going through. You can be a high school dropout, making really piss poor decisions in your life, to having this doctorate and doing things on a level, helping people on a level that you never thought you could have done. And that can be everybody. They just need to figure out where that flow for them is.
That's awesome.
So I love the human-centric approach. We know that organizations spend millions of dollars on leadership development. What have you found is missing, and what's the one question that leaders would include in working with their individuals? Talk a little bit about that.
In my experience, and I don't want to say this is across the board, but in my experience, in any leadership development that I did, there is a push, and we're going to coach to behavior, coach to behavior, coach to behavior. Look at the behavior, and we do that. We say you're not behaving in a way that's going to give me the results that I need moving forward. So I'm going to give you corrective actions. If you don't correct the behavior in that way, then we're kicking you out. Well, we can go the positive realm. I want to enforce a behavior, so let me give you a carrot. Let's do some incentive programs and make you want to achieve or change the behavior to win something. And most leadership training, that's what we focus on. What are the tactics that we can do to shift behavior? We'll shift mindsets. We'll try to do that, but more often than not, it focuses on behavior and results, behavior and results, behavior and results, and that's where everything is developed. Behavior for me is an output. And if we can go to the computer science realm, if you're typing on your keyboard and you're seeing something pop up on the screen, that's an output of something that you're doing. But all of this and how a computer works, even if we're sending something to the printer, is coming from an operating system. There's something that all this goes through, and then it comes to an output. And so for me, behavior is an output of something that's happening internally in our internal operating system. And that's where the difference is. The one question, honestly, is just going backwards. Two steps. One step is, where is that behavior coming from, right? And we don't ask that. I just want to change the behavior. And if I can say, so what is your belief on, why is your behavior is backed by some belief that's there? And what do you believe about the situation that's making you act this way or having this behavior? And you can, when you ask that question, you're going to get an I don't know, right?
Yeah.
We have to understand, we can listen to the conversation, we can listen to the things. And this is where leadership has to take that level of not forcing something, but active listening and investigating. What is going on with my people? What's the conversation around? And that's what, for me, the direction is when I can say, what do you want? You're going to uncover some things. Well, why aren't you there? Well, I don't believe this. I don't believe this. You'll find a lot of things that they don't believe. And if I can say, well, you don't believe this, I can connect these dots as a leader. We can't always expect the person to understand that, but when we can step back and look at the high level and uncover that belief system, then I can start to shift some of those beliefs.
Yeah.
Beliefs change all the time. And half the time, beliefs aren't even our own. My beliefs were based off of what my mom taught me, or what my dad taught me, or what Uncle Mike taught me, right? So we can shift some of those beliefs, but it's asking that question. It's like, what is the belief that's driving this behavior? And you can go deep into the psychological aspects of that, but you don't have to, right? We can just uncover some things and say, well, okay, well, for you to believe something different about this, what would that take? And that will break down to an identity. You have to come from this person to become this person, and that will shift all that. So, but that one question to go backwards would be, what is the belief that's driving this behavior? And that will uncover so much for you.
What you just said, to answer the last question, when did that occur for you?
About the belief?
Yeah, when did someone ask you what you want, and what was that moment? Sandy brought that out in so many different ways.
Yeah.
But can you identify that one moment as to why you do what you do? Why it's so important?
Yeah, so when Bob proposed that question, what do you want? I didn't know. And so I had to go, because everything I thought I wanted, computer science and architecture, like I was just shifting gears so many times. And I said, I just really don't know. And he, basically what I had to do was I had to write out this list of 100 things of what I wanted to accomplish in life.
Wow.
I got to like 25 and I'm like, I don't know. So I just started making stuff up. And this sounds great. This sounds good. This might be good. I got to the point where I wrote down speaking. Why? I don't know, because I was just making stuff up. But when I wrote that down, something inside me was like, oof, oh. And immediately I was like, but you are an introvert, you have social anxiety, you cannot do
All
this.
the beliefs.
All the beliefs.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
I started remembering every motivational speaker that I went and watched, and I was like, God, I wish I could do that. Even in church, watching pastors and preachers give up and inspire people in a way, I was like, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could inspire people in some form or fashion. There was a thing that was stirring inside me. And then I also wrote to write a book, and I wrote to be more based around the motivational piece. So that's where I uncovered my belief system. The pull for that was so intense for me, but I knew I knew my belief on that was never going to get me there. And so I'll show the 3 books. There are 3 books that just shifted everything for me, and a lot of what I do is based on these 3 books. But it's the What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Psycho-Cybernetics, which is the visualization type thing, is really big in the self-image. Maxwell Maltz he's a self-image person. Like, you want to know about that? He's the dude. And then what was the last? That was going to kill me. U Squared, very thin book. But
Oh, something I can read.
yeah,
There are lots of pictures.
you can read it in probably a day. But U Squared changed. So I knew I had to change my self-image and my self-talk. But what U Squared changed for me was that it doesn't have to take forever. Like that we can skip some of the rungs on the ladder if we just understand what's going on. But it started that self-image was my belief. That was my belief system. And so when I talk about belief, for me it was self-image. For a lot of people it's going to be self-image. It's that the limiting beliefs are limiting because we don't believe that we are capable of doing that. When we can change that, that tends to shift. So I did tons of exercises in changing that self-image, showing up in different ways. But that was that moment. It was when I did that list and those things hit me, I understood that that's what I wanted, but I was not the individual that had to be there. And that showed me that gap, like, well, who is that person? And when I defined all the characteristics of that guy and who I was now, I was like, wow, these are the things I need to work on. So I had a roadmap to get there. And I think it gets daunting for a lot of people because we know that shift has to happen. And this is where the how comes back in. When we do the aspiration, we don't want to know how we're going to get there. First, we just want to know what it is. Because if we want to encompass the how, the self-image is going to say, you can't. There is no how. You cannot do that. And so we have to establish this. And then when I can break this down into this gap that I have to do, take one little piece of that, one little piece at a time and work on that one piece, you're not so overwhelmed. You're like, oh, I can do this one thing. Yeah, I can do this one thing. I can show up this way for 6 months or however long it takes for me to embody that. And that's where the belief, once you do that and you're like, oh, I did that, then you have what I call just this evidence. And the more evidence you have of the shifting, the faster that progression takes to make those changes. But
So show up to the labs.
show up to the labs, yeah, because
And you'll learn a lot of it.
all those labs are based off everything I just told you. It's just they're exercises to uncover some of this stuff.
That's great. Oh, okay, well, we are out of time. So I do appreciate you coming to be part of the studio audience, and thank you, Garrett, for being on the show today. Could you let everybody know how to reach you?
First, let me thank you for giving me this opportunity. I love that you bring out stories. I'll just cheer you on for a second because I love the stories to begin with. So following what you do with people, bringing out the story, the background of how people got to where they're going is very important. It helps us understand the motivation behind what people are doing, whether you're an electrician or not. There's a journey that gets there. So I appreciate the fact that you brought this out because not a lot of people know that backstory of who I am and why what I do is so important to me. If you want to know more about the Dumb Labs and the Aspiration Advantage, the best place is really just to go to the website. There's contact form there, or it's just Garrett at Goggans Consulting, which is the company name, Garrett at GoggansConsulting.com.
Okay, great. And thank you again to the studio audience, and we will see you on the next story.
Yay.
All right. What's your journey? What's your story? And most importantly, what makes you thrive? We'll see you on the next story.
DER Windows and Synergy Homes is your trusted partner in building, improving, and protecting what matters most, your home. With a commitment to craftsmanship and quality, their team specializes in new home construction, delivering spaces that are built to last and designed to fit your lifestyle. Beyond building, DER Windows and Synergy Homes offers a full range of exterior services to keep your property looking its best and performing at its peak. From expert stucco and custom stonework to durable roofing solutions, replacement windows, and efficient gutter systems, every project is handled with precision and care. Whether you're starting from the ground up or upgrading your current home, DER Windows and Synergy Homes combines experience, reliability, and attention to detail to bring your vision to life. DER Windows and Synergy Homes. Quality you can see, craftsmanship you can trust.